In the heart of Delaware, there's a stretch of forest land known as the Snow Tortoise Wilds where an unsettling mystery lingers. Quiet, remote, and dense with towering trees, it seems like any other state forest, until you dig a little deeper. During the summer and fall of 2017, a number of rangers and police officers vanished in this area without a trace. They had been led to the grave of an infant by a local man named Ortiz, who had gone missing 4 days previous. When he was found in the woods by a patrolling park ranger, Lewis shared a harrowing and unbelievable story. Ortiz was a 46-year-old owner of a local landscaping business. He met his future wife, Hannah Fowler, at a construction equipment convention. She was divorced with 2 young children, her previous husband having left suddenly, most likely due to increasing alcohol and gambling problems. The couple had a steady courtship for over 2 years before Lewis proposed. He had always gotten on well with the kids and found becoming their surrogate father not a burden, but a joy. Hannah became a bookkeeper at the landscaping company, and when the children became teenagers, they worked part-time in the business as well. But beneath the surface, something was wrong. Hannah occasionally witnessed odd behavior in her husband. Episodes he couldn't explain, like wearing his clothes inside out and jumping up and down alone in their bedroom. When confronted, he shrugged it off as a compulsive quirk from childhood, insisting it was harmless. When Hannah brought this up to his mother, a darker story emerged. She revealed that after Lewis was born, she was certain the hospital had given her the wrong child. Though the staff assured her no mistake had been made, a lingering doubt haunted her. And as Lewis grew, strange occurrences followed. He spoke complete sentences as a toddler, far beyond his years. The first occurrence of this was when his mother had been baking leftover eggshells to feed to her chickens out back. Lewis, having never uttered more than a few disjointed words, abruptly and clearly said, "I don't like that," and left the kitchen. Another occurrence was the presence of deer whenever he played outside. This association followed him into adulthood and became a running joke at his landscaping business, that you could tell the boss was coming because deer would always show up beforehand. No one ever actually kept track, and this could have just been a rumor reinforced by cognitive bias. The day Lewis disappeared, he had been overseeing a project at a house which bordered the Snow Tortoise Wilds. Workers recalled seeing him at the edge of the woods, standing completely still, his back to them. But as Chuck O'Connor, a foreman, approached, he realized Lewis was trembling, soaked in sweat, and suppressing sobs. When confronted, Lewis snapped back to reality, reassured his crew that everything was fine, and left abruptly. He was never seen again. Later that evening, O'Connor had called Hannah to ask if Lewis was okay. Hannah hadn't seen Lewis and assumed he was just out with the guys, which sometimes happened after a grueling workday. His car was not at home, and his phone went straight to voicemail. As Hannah asked around, neighbors came forth to say that yes, Lewis had indeed stopped at home. Footage from their doorbell cameras confirmed this, as his car can be seen pulling into the driveway. He goes inside, then leaves less than 10 minutes later. He does not have a suitcase, nor is there any indication that he dropped something off. He drives away in the direction he came from, as if he were going back to work. 4 days later, Lewis's car is found on the outskirts of the Snow Tortoise Wilds. It was hidden behind some thick brush and fallen trees. The only reason it was seen was because a cyclist who was training for a race spotted it while rounding a curve. He took a closer look at the car, and upon seeing what was in the front seat, called the police. Emergency services arrived, and Hannah was called to identify the body. Inside the vehicle was a bizarre, shriveled figure, a corpse so withered it hardly resembled a human being. The body was brown and dried, like a mummy. Despite the oddity of it all, Hannah eventually identified the body as Lewis. Who else could it be, she asked. O'Connor stepped up to manage the business, and even the children helped, finding that sitting around at home after school, wondering what had happened to their father, too stressful. Hannah was entertained by a steady series of friends and family members who came to visit, including Lewis's parents. Lewis's mother would ask Hannah over and over again if she was sure it was his body, to which she could only respond with the same question she had asked the police. Who else could it be? Mere days after his funeral, a ranger stumbled across a disheveled man in the woods, claiming to be Luis Ortiz. Dirty, desperate, and pleading for help, he told a story no one could believe. He claimed that he was not truly human, but part of an ancient race of ephemeral beings connected to the forest, beings whose existence had been threatened by humanity's encroachment. To survive, they had switched human infants with their own, and Lewis had been one of them. As he dug deeper into his origins, he asked the beings one haunting question. What had happened to the human babies they had taken? Their answer left him horrified. Lewis agreed to be the being's emissary for the sole reason that he figured they wouldn't let him go if he didn't. He got back through the portal and now wanted police help to destroy it. Lewis led officers into a clearing complete with stick figures and rocks with symbols carved into them, where they uncovered an infant's bones. Bones he claimed belonged to the real child his parents had lost. After collecting the evidence, the officers found themselves in a race against time as night descended. Desperate, Lewis begged them to help destroy the portal connecting the two worlds. Instead, the officers insisted that Lewis come back to society with them, where he would receive medical treatment. He seemed to agree, but at some point on their way back, he dashed off into the night, swallowed by the darkness of the woods. Some officers made brief attempts to find him, describing following eerie flashes of light, like sunlight reflecting off a mirror deep in the trees. Only 2 made it back, an officer and a ranger, both of whom refused, even at the possible loss of their jobs, to re-enter that section of forest. The question remained, if that was truly Luis Ortiz in the woods, then who or what is buried in his coffin? The mystery deepened when Lewis's body was exhumed. The mummified figure was gone, impossibly replaced by a log. Even more unsettling, video footage from the medical examiner revealed that the body seen by all had always been that same log. Hannah Ortiz now lives quietly in a residential care facility. The teens lived with a close foster family that the landscaping business had done extensive work for. They are now both independent adults. Today, the Snow Tortoise Wilds remains a place of dread, sealed off from the public, its dark secrets left untold. Authorities consider a large-scale expedition to recover the lost officers, but the area's dense and untamed terrain makes such a mission perilous. But the mystery lingers. What ancient force lies hidden in those woods, and how many more will vanish before the truth is uncovered?